In this video presentation, I shall discuss about some of the important terms associated with post-colonial theory. Now, my dear students, I welcome you to my educational channel. The name of my educational channel is Priyanka Dotto. Here you can find video presentations on English language and literature of school level, college level, as well as of competitive examinations. Now, let us go to the main focus of this video presentation. The first term, which is important, is colonialism. And you can explain this term in this way. The term colonialism refers to the process of obtaining control and command on the part of the Europeans over non-European places. This settlement is followed by exploitation and torture of the native people by the people belonging to the ruling class. Now, there is the second term. The term is decolonization, and you can explain it in this way. The term decolonization means freedom from the colonial form of thinking. It does so by making a close examination of the colonial thought and putting it in the form of a dialogue. The aim of such a practice is to rejuvenate the native forms of knowledge. The third term is colonizer. You can explain it in this way. The people of the country who conquer another place and exploit and torture the original inhabitants of this place for their personal benefit are called colonizers. The people of England are colonizers in the context of their gaining control and command over the people of America, Australia, Brazil, and to some extent South Africa. The next term is settler. You can explain it in this way. The term settler refers to those people who occupy a place and begin to live there. The settlers very often declare themselves as the native people of this place and push the literal natives to the background. The English inflicted settler colonialism upon places such as Australia, the US, Canada, Brazil, and to some extent South Africa. The next term is colonized, and you can explain it in this way. The term colonized refers to those black people whose land had been conquered by people of another land belonging to the white race. These people are subjugated and are looked upon as culturally inferior, the other, and are thought to possess those qualities which the colonizers do not like. The next term is fetish/phobia. So both the terms can be explained in the same way. According to Bhabha, that is Homi Jahangir Bhabha, the psyche of the colonizers or settlers is made of two contrasted ideas, fetish and phobia. So, while the white people seek the other and at the same time wish to erase the difference, thus they look upon the native people as simultaneously inscrutable and vulnerable. Thus, colonial discourse suffers from a sense of instability. The next term is cultural imperialism. You can explain it in this way. The concept of cultural imperialism occurs in Edward Said's book Orientalism. The term puts forward the view that Occidental culture is always represented as superior to Oriental culture. Actually, it is a presumption and so is bound to be an error. The next term is Negritude. You can explain it in this way. Amy Caesari. There should be a gap between Amy and Caesari. In Discourse on Colonialism puts forward the concept of negritude. This term opposes the concept put forward by the term cultural imperialism and suggests the cultural achievements of the colonized people. The next term is subaltern. This is an important term. The concept subaltern was first given by the Italian Marxist critic Antonio Gramsci. It's a combination of two Latin words, sub meaning under and alter meaning other. The colonized people are looked upon as subaltern, that is, those who are under the colonizers from several aspects. The subaltern people rebel against their subaltern identity. After this full stop, there should be a gap. Ashcroft and others think that the term subaltern refers to those groups in society who are subject to the ruling classes. Gayatri Spivak looks upon the native women as doubly subaltern. This should not be put under quotation. Okay. So whatever she says is, if in the context of colonial production, the subaltern had no history and cannot speak, the subaltern as female is even more deeply in shadow. This quotation or this observation said by Gayatri Spivak occurs in a book written by Hans Bartens, and it occurs in page 212. Spivak uses the word speak in her monumental work, Can the Subaltern Speak, to mean having a voice, thus suggesting the relationship between the speaker and the listener. Citing a case of the suicide of a woman in the early 20th century India, Spivak writes that the subaltern woman spoke through her body because there was no other way of speaking. The next term is hegemony. You can explain it in this way. The term is coined by Antonio Gramsci. It refers to the dominance of one over the other. The Europeans believe that they are superior to the black-skinned people of the East. Though Gramsci looked upon hegemony as persuasive, he wanted it to alter. The next term is imperialism. You can explain it in this way. Imperialism is the theory or ideology which supports colonialism. The theory, however, is that the Europeans want to settle in non-European places in order to uplift the life of the native people of these places from social, cultural, moral and ethical perspectives. The next term is Orientalism. This is an important term. You can explain it in this way. The term Orientalism is coined by Edward Said in his monumental book Orientalism. It refers to the attitudes of the West to the East. The aim of post-colonial criticism is to make a correct assessment of the Orient and to make it explicit to the Occident or the West. Defining Orientalism, Said says, Orientalism is a Western style of dominating, restructuring and having authority over the Orient. The given expression occurs in the book Orientalism and it is found in the 3rd page. The next term is other. The term the other or sometimes an other refers to a person or category of people who is or are different from the dominant social group. In case of post-colonial theory, the colonized people form the other. Apart from suggesting difference, the term carries within it a suggestion of the cultural superiority of the colonizers over the colonized. The next term is diaspora. You can explain it in this way. The word diaspora, derived from the Greek word, means to disperse. This dispersal is from the native land to new regions. It can be both voluntary and forced. Having come to the new place, these people negotiate two different cultures, the culture of their native country and that of the new place to which they have come. The culture of the homeland exists in their memory. Thus, they feel a sense of alienation in the culture of the place where they have come. Naturally, there is a determined effort to retain the culture of the homeland. Side by side, there is the effort to assimilate with the new culture. The diasporic culture is thus necessarily a mixture of the two cultures. Colonial enterprise very often places the colonizer in such diasporic situations. Thus, the persons having such diasporic consciousness can easily be said to epitomize hybridity, which according to Bhabha is the third kind of existence, the other being the colonizer and the colonized. The next term is mimicry. You can explain it in this way. Homi Bhabha expresses the idea of mimicry in a book. The name of the book is Of Mimicry and Man. It is the disciplined imitation of the white man by the native. It is sought through Western education, religion and structures where the native is trained to think and behave like the white man. However, in the process of this imitation, the colonial authority is not repeated. Rather, it breaks down. Bhabha says, the menace of mimicry is its double vision, which in disclosing the ambivalence of the colonial discourse also disrupts its authority. We have come to the next term. It is ambivalence. You can explain it in this way. Bhabha uses the idea of ambivalence in a book. The name of the book is Signs Taken for Wonders, the English book, to describe the rupture between the hoped for original authority of the English sign and the effect of repetition and difference. Here he speaks of repetition with a difference. Bhabha argues that the Bible functioned as a sign of colonial power or authority, the authority to disseminate the book throughout the colony. He adds that the sign, that is the book, is translated by the natives into their own contexts, and the process very often involves subversion and sometimes resistance. We have come to the next term. It is hybridity. Homi Bhabha uses the term hybridity to refer to the dual state of mimicry on the part of the colonized people. By virtue of this kind of imitation, the colonized people show their apparent obedience to and inherent disobedience, which Bhabha calls sly civility of the colonizers. Thus, hybridity creates a third space, a space of relations between the colonizer and the colonized. He adds that this mimicry fails because the colonizers want to keep the difference between themselves and the colonized people. We have come to the next term. The term is epistemic violence. You can explain it in this way. Gayatri Spivak uses the term epistemic violence to refer to the destruction of non-Western ways of knowing and resulting dominance of Western ways of understanding. The final term is nation and nationality. You can explain it in this way. The origin of the concept of nation is a part of the anti-colonial movement. Nation is imaginary because people living in different territories of a nation will never come to meet one another or be acquainted with their cultures. The sense of unity is, however, generated and sustained among the people belonging to a nation by virtue of symbols, which in these cases are songs, films, cultural practices. Nationalism is the ideology which comes to work once the idea of belonging to a nation has been achieved. This ideology includes seeking the pre-colonial past and projecting a destiny. Thus, after nationalism is achieved, a revolt against subjection, that is colonialism, will inevitably take place. This is all what I have about the important terms related to post-colonial theory. Now, before going to the valedictory session, I want to make an announcement that for any kind of support, you can WhatsApp me in this number. The number is 9775121673, or you can drop a mail in my mail ID My mail ID is priyankadattoenglish@gmail.com. Now, before concluding this video presentation, I request you to subscribe my channel. I also request you to share my video presentations to your friends so that they can also be benefited. And I request you to put forward your valuable opinions in the comment section of this video presentation as well as of my other video presentations. And before concluding, I thank you once again.